Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special holiday edition of the Bacon Bets podcast. The road to 272 bets marches on, and guess what? We got a Christmas miracle this past weekend. Finished with a profitable record. I'm recording this on Monday afternoon, so a little bit earlier than usual. Still one game to go tonight. But even if my bet loses tonight, we will finish up 9-7 from the past weekend, plus 1.49 units. Now, if tonight's bet wins, it'll be the first time all season, double-digit wins in a single week, which means typically I'd be playing the victory music. But I had to record a little bit earlier. So if I do go 10-7, if the Colts do win tonight, next week's episode, victory music for the first time in 2025. But that is a big if, because if you remember last week's show, my upset pick of the week was the Monday night game. So it's going to take a Colts upset against the 49ers to get to 10-6 on the week. I expect to probably lose that game. That was a bit of an aggressive bet, so most likely the end of week 16 will be 9-7 for plus 1.49 units. If that is the case, that means we bring our season-to-date record. We finally reached double-digit wins. 103, 136, and 1 for minus 32.1 units. If we lose tonight, if we win, we might be back down to the 20s. How exciting would that be with 2 weeks to go? Fun. So let's not gonna wait. I'm not gonna waste any time here. We all got things to do this holiday week, so I'll try to make this a relatively quick episode of the Road to 272. I'll rip through the picks a little bit quicker than I normally do, but I do want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I wish you all well. Let's enjoy the week and next week as well, because then we're gonna wrap up the year and get ready for 2026. So. Let's get into it. Merry Christmas, everyone. It is time for the NFL Week 17 edition of the Bacon Bets podcast. The road to 272 bets marches on. All right, let's get into the plays for Christmas Day. 3 NFL games on Christmas Day. Unfortunately, these were supposed to be, if you looked at them before the season began, you probably looked at them and were like, oh, we're in for a doozy on Christmas Day. Not the case anymore. Of these 6 teams, how many are them? Already 4 of them already eliminated from the playoffs. 5 of them, basically 5 of them with the Lions, and then the Broncos, I guess, still fighting for the number 1 seed in the AFC is really the only playoff team playing on Christmas. But that doesn't matter. We're going to watch the games. We're going to bet on them anyway. So let's get into my picks for these 3 games, starting with the Cowboys and Commanders. I'm going to take the obvious bet. Sometimes the obvious bet is the right bet. Give me the over 50.5 at minus 115. For that one. Kind of hard to evaluate both teams with them playing in a game that is meaningless for the 2 of them. But what we do know for sure, no matter who plays or the effort of either team, is that both defenses absolutely suck. 30th and 32nd in EPA per play, 27th and 30th in opponent success rate, 29th and 31st in opponent yards per play. So bottom 5 in every metric, bottom 3 in 2 of them. The 2 defenses allow a combined 56.9 points per game. I don't think we got to overthink it. This is a Christmas afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern on Christmas. Grab a coffee, put some Baileys in it, maybe half Baileys, half coffee. Sit on the couch, place a bet, cheer for points. Cowboys, Commanders, Christmas afternoon, over 50.5 at minus 115. Lions and Vikings here. I'm going to take the Lions minus 5.5, minus 118. They do benefit, I guess you look at it from that angle, from the fact that they play on Thursday. So they don't know the result of the Packers game, obviously. The only way for the Lions to make the playoffs is now they have to win out. They have to beat the Vikings in this game and then the Bears in Week 18. And they would need the Packers to lose to the Ravens on Sunday and then lose to the Vikings in Week 18. So there's still a path. So because of that, I think they're going to come out firing against a Vikings team that we don't know the status of J.J. McCarthy. There's a chance that he does not play because of a broken hand, which could mean Max Brosmer could get the start for the Vikings, which would be bad news. He absolutely stinks. As bad as J.J. McCarthy is, who, to be fair, he's been playing better recently, Max Brosmer is even worse. And even though the Lions probably aren't going to make the playoffs, I still kind of have faith in this team. I still think they're a good team. Close to top 5 in DVOA, net yards per play, EPA, success rate, all those stats. This is just unfortunately a case of a team that things have not broken their way. And if things don't break your way in 4 or 5 games in a 17-game season, you're going to be on the outside of the looking in when it comes to the playoffs. If the NFL season was 82 games long, I would bet a pretty penny that the Lions would end up in the postseason, but that's not the way this beautiful sport works. All that being said, I still think the Lions are a very good team. I think they win and cover against the Vikings. In the afternoon game late afternoon, I guess, game on Christmas Day, I'll take the Lions -5.5 at -118. We're going to move on to the night game now. Unfortunately, because I knew I had to record Monday afternoon, it is right now 4 p.m. Eastern on Monday, because I got to head to the in-laws here very shortly. I had to place these bets Sunday night, and I bet on the Chiefs on Sunday night, but I bet on the Chiefs when they were 10.5 point underdogs. They are now 12.5, even 13.5 at some places. So I got a bad number on a bad team. Give me the Chiefs plus 10.5 against the Denver Broncos on Christmas night. I'm very surprised to see the Chiefs are this big of underdogs. I know they just lost to the Titans. I know they technically have nothing to play for. But let's remember, they are eliminated from the playoffs. But guys on this team, they're still fighting for contracts and fighting for maybe incentives and even fighting for personal pride, if you want to call it that. But I don't think teams just all of a sudden implode and fold as soon as they are eliminated from the playoffs. I know they didn't look good against the Titans. And I know Gardner Minshew's out, which means now Chris Hadouken, Chris Hadouken will be getting the start for the Chiefs. Didn't look bad against the Titans without even preparing for the starting role last week. Completed 68.8% of passes, 111 yards, did not turn the ball over. But at the end of the day, a Chiefs team, even without their starter or backup quarterback, this is still a very skilled team on both sides of the ball, very talented team on both sides of the ball, and most importantly, a very well-coached team. For them to be getting this many points at home, it's kind of crazy to me, especially a Broncos team that I'm not going to say they're not good. I'd say they're a little bit overrated. I think their defense is a little bit overrated. If you just target the side of the field that Patrick Surtain's not lined up at, you can find success against this Broncos defense. I mean, the Jaguars certainly found success against them this past weekend. I kind of have faith in this Chiefs team. Maybe they don't win. I bet them plus 10.5. That's the bet I have. That's what I'm going to track. If you're listening to this, you can get this at least 12.5. I love that even more. I will take the Chiefs with the points on Christmas night. Moving on to Saturday's game. So this is 27th. Which is my birthday. No big deal. Guess how old I am in the comments down below. I'll pay $1 million to someone who guesses it correctly. Obviously, joking. Not true. But yeah, Saturday's the 27th, right? Yeah, look at that. I'm a Christmas baby. I will take the under between the Texans and the Chargers. Under 40.5. These two teams, very similar to each other in terms of they're both teams that are in the playoffs because of their defenses. Both have talented quarterbacks, but are both held back offensively due to either bad offensive line play or injured offensive lines. Bad play in terms of the Texans. Injured offensive lines for the Chargers. Both their starting tackles are obviously out. Have been out for the majority of the season. But with all of that combined, I think we're going to be in for a low-scoring affair. Both defenses rank in the top 10, top 5 actually, in opponent EPA per play, opponent success rate, and opponent yards per play. And the Texans have the best scoring defense in the league. They keep teams to scoring just 16.3 points per game. That is the best mark in the NFL by 2.3 points per game. Both teams, I think, are going to struggle to score in this one. So let's start on Saturday. A little birthday bet for the boy. Under 40.5 and -105. All I want for my birthday this year is a couple of winning bets. Let's go 2-0 with my NFL plays on my birthday, and I would count that as a successful birthday. And if I go 2-0, that means I'll need the under to hit between the Chargers and Texans, and that'll also mean I need the Packers to win and cover against the Ravens. Very, very difficult game for me to bet on at this point of the week because we do not know if Jordan Love's going to play. We do not know if Lamar Jackson is going to play. I would say, based on reports and the types of injuries, I would say there's a higher likelihood that Jordan Love plays. He was concussed, and at this point, if it's this early in the season, he'd probably be out a couple weeks, but this point of the season with the playoffs on the line, for some reason, the doctors magically seem to clear quarterbacks a little bit quicker than they do earlier in the season. Who knows why? Who knows why that could be? I'm sure they aren't compromised at all. So I could envision Jordan Love coming back, whereas you can't just push yourself through a back injury, which is what Lamar Jackson has. Apparently, he was struggling to stand up on his own after Sunday night's game against the Patriots. That's bad news. Also, Packers played Saturday, so they have kind of an extra day here to rest up. So I do think there's a better chance Jordan Love plays than Lamar Jackson. Even if the two of them don't, I think the Packers are an overall better team. 12th in the NFL, 6th in the NFL in net yards per play. Ravens are 12th. I'm just out on this Ravens team. The betting market keeps kind of pricing the Ravens like they're good, like they're a top 10 team, and I just don't think they are. They're kind of average across the board at everything this year. And once again, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but that is my bad. Hand up accountability. That's on me for betting on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. My last 3 Super Bowl picks, it was Ravens this year, not going to make the playoffs. It was 49ers the year before, not going to make the playoffs. Was it 3 years or 4 years ago when the Colts had Matt Ryan and I said the Colts? They didn't make the playoffs. So if I pick your team before the season begins to win the Super Bowl, unfortunately, your team will miss the playoffs. So next year, my pick for next year to win this next year's Super Bowl, the New England Patriots. How about that, Patriots fans? You might have a horseshoe stuck up your ass, but let's see how that battles against the curse of Ian. With all that being said, I will take the Packers -2.5, -105 on Saturday night. Let's move on to Sunday. Slated as the Seahawks against the Panthers, and I will take the Seahawks -7.5, -104. Credit to the Panthers for being in first place in the NFC South, winning enough games to get there. But this is a team that still ranks 25th in DVOA. That is one spot below the Cardinals, one spot above the Giants. And make no mistake about it, the Panthers are still a very, very, very bad team. The Seahawks. The only issue I have with the Seahawks is Sam Darnold in a big game. Now you can say, Ian, they beat the Rams. That was a big game. Okay, but let's be honest. Sam Darnold didn't look good. 2 turnovers, 3 turnovers in that game. And the comeback, the only thing he did was I guess he did lead the game-winning drive in overtime. But in regulation, the comeback, he had a receiver wide open for 1 score. But one of the touchdowns was a punt return. So that didn't exactly dispel the myth that Sam Darnold can't play in big games. I'm not exactly convinced just quite yet. But you know what Sam Darnold can do? He can chop up some bad defenses, and the Panthers are a bad defense. But more importantly, the Seahawks defense, I'm closing my eyes, I'm envisioning Bryce Young against the Seahawks defense, and that, to me, feels like that's going to be ugly. Credit to Bryce Young, though. He's fought back. But I'll take the Seahawks -7.5, -104 against the Panthers. Moving on, we got the Jaguars and the Colts. Are the Colts still going to be alive? We're yet to see that. Like I said, I'm recording this Monday afternoon. The game is still 4 hours away from starting, the Monday night game. I am going to believe in the Colts, though. If I'm betting on the Colts to win tonight, then I'm going to bet the Colts to cover next week, because if they do win tonight, this spread will shrink a little bit. Especially if they look good, this will be like 4.5, 5.5. So because of that, I will take the Colts right now, +6.5, -104, and hopefully it doesn't reopen at 7. But for the same reason, I'm going to back the Colts, for the same reason that I'm backing the Colts on Monday night. I think people are done with the Colts. Yet, as of recording this, we'll see what changes after tonight. This is still a top 5 team in DVOA. One of the top teams in net yards per play. Top 12 in both EPA and opponent EPA per play. And just because Daniel Jones is out does not mean that they're all of a sudden a bad team. Philip Rivers can do enough in this system. They got to get the ground game going. But now they're taking on next week a Jaguars team who I will not say the Jaguars are frauds. The Jaguars have played significantly better in the second half of the season than they did the first half. But I do think they are a little bit overrated in the betting market. I think this is one of the biggest sell high spots you could hope for in terms of the Jaguars. Coming off a big win in Denver. Who do they close out against? Do they close out against the Titans? Do they have the Titans the last week? Titans, yeah. So they're already kind of like looking ahead to the playoffs here. Maybe the Colts don't win this week, but I'll take the 6.5 points with the Colts, -104. Saints against the Titans. I hate to say this. The Saints, actually. Something's cooking in New Orleans, and I'm nervous. Because right now there's a window that's going on where the NFC South sucks, and the Falcons have yet to take advantage. And I'm a little bit worried what Kellen Moore is doing in New Orleans. Tyler Shuck has looked very good. The Falcons' window to take advantage of a bad division is closing quickly. With that being said, I also hope Tyler Shuck does win Offensive Rookie of the Year. His odds have moved up to second. I bet Tyler Shuck to win Offensive Rookie of the Year the moment Derek Carr announces retirement in the offseason. And basically ever since Spencer Rattler won the starting job before the season, I was like, oh, that's bet's immediately dead. But now, because no other rookie seems to seemingly want to win the award, if Tyler Shuck goes off these last 2 games, it might just be Tyler Shuck Offensive Rookie of the Year. So with that being said, I will take the Saints minus 2.5 here at minus 115. Their defense has been solid all season, and that's why I've been betting on the Saints a lot recently. 12th in opponent EPA, the Saints defense is up to now. Shuck, 300-yard performance last week. He looks good, man. He's mobile. He can run. He's got an arm on him. And he's just targeting like his best guys. He trusts Chris Olave. He knows he's one of his best guys. So he just keeps throwing the ball to him. And I think this comes down to Kellen Moore, who I don't think he's been getting enough credit this year. Obviously, the Saints are not in contention in that division. But Kellen Moore was a big reason. I mean, we saw what happened to the Eagles after Kellen Moore no longer the offense coordinator there. All right? And now we're seeing, sometimes the new coaches, it takes you half a season, especially when you don't really have a good roster, half a season for your schemes to kind of take hold. And now they are. And now the Saints are, let's look at the Saints, last few games here. Saints just beat the Jets, just beat the Panthers. Saints have won 3 straight games. Shout out. Now the Titans and Falcons last 2 weeks, they might just end the season on a 5-game win streak. Titans, I still think, are really bad. They got some work to do. They got to find a coach. But I will take the Saints here minus 2.5. I just think they've graduated from the bottom tier of the NFL. They're now if there's 6 tiers, they're in the 4th. 3rd from the bottom. So I'll take the Saints minus 2.5 against Tennessee. Next up, Cardinals and Bengals. Cardinals, I don't think when was the last time the Cardinals covered the spread? I fear I'm in Tennessee Titans territory from last season, where I'm now convinced. Now I did bet against them this past week against the Falcons, but I'm kind of convinced that they have to cover because they haven't covered in so long. Didn't cover Falcons, didn't cover Texans, didn't cover Rams, pushed against Buccaneers, pushed against Jaguars, didn't cover 49ers, didn't cover Seahawks. So the last time outside of the pushes, the last time they actually covered a full spread, you won if you bet on them, was November 3rd against the Cowboys. Was that Monday night or Sunday night when they won outright, 27-17? I tell people all the time, a team being due means absolutely nothing. Now here I am betting on the Cardinals because I think they're due. But more so, I think 6 is a lot of points to lay in a team who, yes, is very good offensively, but the Bengals defense still sucks. I think that is a big trap that a lot of people fall into, is laying big numbers on teams that are all offense, no defense. We've seen it with the Cowboys a couple times already. I like to bet on these all offense, no defense teams when they're underdogs. I do not like to bet on them when they're favorites, especially when they're favorites of 6 or 7 points. I just think the Cardinals offense can do enough against this Bengals defense to keep the game somewhat close, so I will take the Cardinals plus 6. On the road against the Bengals. Moving on, the Steelers and the Browns. I think it's the lowest total of the season. I can't think of a total that's been lower than 34.5, but I don't give a shit. Give me the under. 34.5 between the Steelers and the Browns. Steelers offense has been better of late. As of recording this on Monday afternoon, no announcement about DK Metcalf. I would assume DK Metcalf's going to get suspended 1 game. Now, that doesn't completely kill the Steelers' offense, but it does hurt them, especially now that they're going up on the road against a very good Browns defense. And Aaron Rodgers has become very sackable, and that is Myles Garrett licking his chops. Myles Garrett, who's 1 sack away from breaking the record, which is very funny. We have seen a lot of similarities. Sorry. Tired. Didn't sleep last night. We've seen a lot of similarities between Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Obviously, longtime Packer quarterbacks, both won one Super Bowl. Both went to the Jets after Green Bay. Now, Brett Favre went to Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers went to Pittsburgh. But the next comparison that they're going to have is an old quarterback allowing an opposing pass rusher to break the sack record against them. Obviously, we all remember Michael Strahan setting the sack record, the single-season sack record against Brett Favre back in the day. Now, Myles Garrett is going to set the single-season sack record against Aaron Rodgers. Will he slide on a quarterback rollout and just hand the record to Myles Garrett? That would be funny. Maybe. That'd be great. If that happens, we are truly living in a simulation. My point is, without potentially DK Metcalf, I think the Pittsburgh offense is going to struggle on the road. I think the Browns defense is going to have a big game, but also I have no interest in betting on the Browns offense. Shedeur Sanders is terrible. Quinshon Judkins is now out. He's kind of their only good offensive weapon. And the Steelers defense is certainly good enough to shut them down. So lowest total of the year, don't give a fuck. Give me the under 34.5 between the Steelers and the Browns. Next up, we got Patriots and Jets. Not going to overthink this one. Just going to take the Patriots minus 12.5 here. And you guys know me. I'm not afraid of an ugly bet. I took Texans plus 14.5 or Raiders plus 14.5 against the Texans last week. So I'm not afraid to take in the ugly bet. But in this spot, I just don't know what the Jets can do. The Jets quietly might be the worst team in the NFL. Bottom three. If I were to rank the bottom three teams, it's probably Raiders, Titans, Jets. And I'd probably Raiders worst, Jets second worst, than Titans. Right? 29th in EPA per play, 28th in opponent EPA per play. They're the only team that ranks in the bottom 5 of both EPA and opponent EPA. The Raiders defense ranks outside the bottom 5. The Titans defense ranks 6th last, so outside the bottom 5 in opponent EPA. The Giants offense is outside the bottom 5 in EPA. I'm trying to think of some other bad teams. Cardinals offense is outside the bottom 5 in EPA. So the Jets offense, in terms of both sides of the ball, might be the worst team in the league. The Patriots defense can be exploited by elite offenses, but the Jets are not an elite offense. I just don't know how they do anything to cover the spread, especially because the Patriots are still fighting for the top spot in the AFC East. Still got to do some work to clinch that, so I will take the Patriots minus 12.5, minus 110. What are the divisional odds? Minus 550, yeah. Bills kind of needed the Ravens to win last night. Let's move on to the Buccaneers and the Dolphins here. I don't know what's going on with this, like the Buccaneers. Like the betting market continues to evaluate the Buccaneers like they're a half decent team. They're not good. Like the Buccaneers are actually not a good team. Where are they in net yards per play as of today? I'm just going to bring in a net yards per play here. The Buccaneers are now 29th in net yards per play. The only teams that rank worse in net yards per play are the Titans, the Bengals, and the Jets. Buccaneers rank worse than the Giants, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Browns, the Cardinals, all those teams in net yards per play. Buccaneers rank worse. Baker Mayfield, bottom 5 in all those quarterback metrics. He turns the ball over a ton now. And I get the Dolphins aren't good either, but 5.5 points on the road is crazy. Guys, this is not just like a team that's like run into some issues. This is not a team that's like had a couple tough losses and they're battling to make the playoffs. No, this is a bad football team. From top to bottom, both sides of the ball, coaching, quarterback, defense, offense. The Buccaneers are bad, and we need to accept that fact. So I will take the Dolphins plus 5.5. It's a battle of two bad teams. In a game between two bad teams, if you're going to give me the home team getting 5.5 points, I will take that every single time. Dolphins plus 5.5 against the Buccaneers. Next up, we got the Giants and the Raiders. Basically kind of the same line of thinking as Bucs Dolphins. At this point of the season, week 17, if you're going to give me two bad teams, I'll take the home team that's getting points. Jackson Dart was really bad last week. The Raiders defense is solid. And I'll say the Raiders continue to try to establish the run, and they can't. But if there's one team that they can get Ashton Genty going against, it's the Giants. The Giants allow 5.5 yards per carry. That is the most in the NFL. Truly, if there's any team Ashton Genty can have a breakout performance against, it's the Giants defense. I will take the 2.5 points with the Raiders on their home field. Eagles and Bills. Bills everyone's like talking like, this is Josh Allen's year. No Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. No Chiefs. No Bengals. No Joe Burrow. No Ravens. No Lamar Jackson. Now it's Josh Allen's year, or it's never going to be. Here's the issue. The Bills have no defense. They barely escaped with a win against Cleveland. They lost to the Falcons earlier this year. Their defense allows 5.4 yards per carry, 31st in opponent rush EPA, 27th in opponent rush success rate. The Giants are the only team worse against the run than the Bills. Now they take on an Eagles team, which it is time to buy stock in this Eagles team. The Eagles might win the Super Bowl. Saying that right now. They obviously hit a dip. The dip lasted a long time. They're on the upswing. Lead the NFL in net yards per play. Over the last 3 games, the Eagles have a net yards play of plus 2.2. That is the best mark in the NFL by 0.8 yards. By almost a full yard, better than any other team over the last 3 games. Their defense has been elite. Their running game has averaged 4.9 yards per carry over their last 3 games, which is a beautiful compliment to their defense. Their defense will be able to shut the Bills down, and their Saquon Barkley is going to have a big game on the ground. I actually don't think the Eagles should be underdogs in this game. I think the Eagles should be slight favorites, maybe a pick 'em. So I love the Eagles getting 2.5 points. Eagles plus 2.5, minus 102 against the Buffalo Bills. Then we got Sunday Night Football, Bears, 49ers. All you Bears fans who are messaging me, you're all loving that I keep betting against your Bears. Well, guess what? It ain't changing this week. Give me the 49ers minus 2.5. Might be my favorite bet of the season. It is crazy to me. And this is what I'm learning to love this about the NFL. But it is crazy to me that every single season, there's at least one team, and this is the NFL. This is part of the fact that there's a 17-game season. There's one team every year who continuously finds ways to win games at the end of the game in the most luckiest way possible. And then I have to go on Twitter. It's the same fucking thing every single year, but it's a different team every year. And then I have to go on Twitter, and I have to explain to you, this team is actually really bad, guys. All these numbers, all these supporting facts, and then I get DMs, I get replies, I get people tweeting at me, I get emails, I get LinkedIn messages. Ian, you're a fucking idiot. Ian, you have no idea what you're talking about. Cry more. You're just jealous. Your team sucks. You wish you were a Bears fan. You wish you were last year a Chiefs fan. You wish you were an Eagles fan. You wish you were the Steelers back in, they were the worst 11-0 team of all time. It was the Titans one year. Remember them? They got the 1 seed and then lost in the first round. And every single year, I end up being right. Some years it takes longer than others. Last year it took all the way to the Super Bowl before they lost by 1,000,000 points. And that's because the Chiefs had some voodoo. The Bears are going to be a one-and-done team in the playoffs. But I say this, but at the same time, I want to say to Bears fans, enjoy it. I'm not saying that you guys should like not enjoy this run that you guys are on or not celebrate, or I'm not telling you guys to be like, oh, this doesn't matter because we're going to lose. But I do need you to accept the fact that you aren't actually a good team. I know that's crazy, but I've never been proven wrong about this ever. Most of the time, these teams lose in the first round. It was the Steelers, remember, worst 11-0 team of all time. They lost in the first round. The Titans, 1 seed in the AFC, they lost in the first round to the Bengals a few years ago. Then there was the Vikings and the Giants. They both played each other in the first round. The Vikings lost to the Giants, and the Giants got blown out in the divisional round. The only team that's actually won a playoff game, who I pointed out as a fraud, actually, no, I do want to bring up the Eagles. Was it 2 years ago? The Eagles were 11-1 and then lost 5 of their last 6 games and then got blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first round. I called them frauds when they were 11-1. People call me crazy. And then the Chiefs last year are the only team I called a fraud who ended up winning playoff games. And that's because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid can overcome bad play just by being who they are. The Bears are going to lose in the first round. Who are they going to play? So if they're probably going to be the 2 seed. So that means they would play the number 7 seed, right? So they're going to play the Packers again. Okay, the Packers who Jordan Love got hurt around halftime. Down 10. Scored. Onside kick recover. What is the rate of a team getting an onside kick? 5% nowadays? Recover the onside kick. Forced overtime. Won in overtime. There were so many things that if just one of those things went against them, they lost that game. It's crazy. I know I'm spending too much time on this, but I need to go back and like look at these games. And Bears fans, don't get mad at me. Once again, enjoy the ride. But I have to tell you how it is. Okay, so first 2 weeks were bad for the Bears. Bears against Raiders. Week 4, the Bears blocked a game-winning field goal by the Raiders. Bears against Commanders, they won by 1 point. That was like a Hail Mary-ish, or was it just a late comeback against the Commanders? Which then gave the Bears a 1-point win against the Commanders. Bears against Bengals, no, that was the one that was like a Hail Mary to like one of their tight ends late in the game for the Bears to beat the Bengals 47-42. Giants, they needed a 10-point comeback in the final minutes to beat the Giants 24-20. Jalen Hurts fumbled against the Bears late in their game. Pittsburgh Steelers, that came down to the wires, a 3-point win for the Bears there. And then this past week, the onside kick forced overtime. So that's 1, 2, 3. Oh, Bears Vikings 19-17. That's another one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 games. And I'm not going to say they deserve to lose all 8 of them. This is once again. I feel like it's deja vu. Because last year with the Chiefs, it was the same thing. I went through all the games where like late game things happened and they all broke their way. And people were like, oh, so they should have lost all those games? No. But if you lose 4 of those 8 games, it's a completely different thing. And then what happened this year with the Chiefs? They lost all those late game scenarios and now they're not in the playoffs. Because that's what the NFL comes down to. So all 8 of those close games went the Bears' way this year. Half of those don't go their way. They go 4-4. You're still winning 4 of those games. Instead of sitting at 11-4 right now, you're sitting at 7-8. You have a losing record, you're going to miss the playoffs. And that's if you go 4-4. Let's even say you go 5-3. You go 5-3 in those games that are coin flip games at the end, and most of them you didn't deserve to win at all. You had a lot of luck on your side. You go 5-3 in those games at 8-0. You're sitting at what? 8-6? 8-6 right now? No, 8-7. You're sitting at 8-7 right now. You probably have to win out, and even then, probably not good enough to make the playoffs in the NFC. So, but because all 8 of them went your way, you're in the playoffs at 11-4. It's all good, Bears fans. Enjoy the ride, especially for a team that has had very little success lately. But I'm just going to tell you right now, you're going to lose in the first round. And I think you're going to lose this Sunday too. So 49ers minus 2.5. And mark my words, clip this out if you want. The Bears will lose in the first round of the NFL playoffs. So just mentally prepare yourself for that. Enjoy the ride, but just know it's coming to an end very soon. And then that brings me, hey, you guys want to hear about a shitty team? The Falcons fucking suck. I know they won and cover this past week, but who gives a shit? Monday Night Football, Rams minus 8.5, minus 115 against the Falcons. The Falcons suck. I don't really have anything else to say to this. They lost 37-9 to the Seahawks a few weeks ago. Now they take on like the Seahawks equivalent, the Rams. The Rams' biggest weakness was their special teams. It cost them more than one win this season. Cost them the win against the Eagles. Cost them the win last week against the Seahawks. Now they fired their special teams coordinator. Now the Rams are going to be unbeatable. I think this week is actually a great time to bet Rams Super Bowl. Plus 420 Super Bowl. Yep. I think now is a great time to bet that. Just a very complete team. So well coached. So deep on both sides of the ball. They fix special teams and they're going to be nasty. Kirk Cousins is going to be thrown for a loop against this defense. Matt Stafford will pick apart the Falcons defense. I don't really have much to say other than the fact that this is the best team in the NFL against a team that was eliminated from the playoffs 3 weeks ago. And a Rams team that still needs to win. If they want to stay in the NFC West picture, this game is important to them, believe it or not. Seeding is still very much alive in the NFC. So I'll take Rams -8.5 at -115 on Monday night. So there's all my bets for this week. Let's just recap them. Then I'll give you my teaser of the week, my best bets. So I got Cowboys, Commanders over 50 over 50.5 -115. Lions -5.5 -118. Chiefs +10.5. I got a bad number. Obviously love it a lot more at +12.5. Then we got Texans, Chargers under 40.5 -105. Packers -2.5 -105 against the Ravens. We got the Seahawks -7.5 -104 against the Panthers. We got the Colts +6.5 -104 against the Jaguars. We got the Saints -2.5 -115 against the Titans. We got the Cardinals +6 against the Bengals. Steelers, Browns under 34.5. We got the Patriots -12.5 against the Jets. We got the Dolphins +5.5 against the Bucks. The Raiders +2.5 against the Giants. The Eagles +2.5 against the Bills, -102. We got the 49ers -2.5 -115 against the Bears. And we got the Falcons. So Rams -8.5 -115 against the Falcons. Best bets for this week. For last week's best bets, I either went 3-2 or 4-1, depending on my final best bet, which comes down to the Colts tonight. So my 5 best bets for week 17 are Seahawks -7.5, Saints -2.5, Patriots -12.5, Eagles +2.5, 49ers -2.5. So Seahawks, Saints, Patriots, Eagles, 49ers are my 5 best spread bets. And then teaser of the week, we had a rare loser last week because the Lions got OPI on what would have been the greatest game-winning touchdown of all time. Amon-Ra St. Brown lateraling it to Jared Goff as he's getting tackled, and then he dives in the end zone. That would have been all-time winning play. But I'm going to tease the Texans from +1.5 up to +7.5 against the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers can win with margin against this Texans defense. And then I'll take the Seahawks down from -7.5 down to -1.5 against the Panthers. So Texans Texans +7.5, Seahawks -1.5 for my 2-leg 6-point teaser of the week for NFL Week 17. This has been the Week 17 edition of the Bacon Bets podcast. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, which I think actually ends today. Happy Kwanzaa. Good luck, everyone, with your bets this week. Hope you enjoy Christmas. Enjoy spending time with family, loved ones, all that good stuff. And I will see you next week for the final edition of the Bacon Bets podcast for the year 2025. The road to 272 bets marches on.